All right. While that is getting up, happy Monday to everybody. Hope you guys are having a good start of your week. As always, we got to try to do in our sessions, we always kind of go through the message center announcements. And one of the things that I noticed as I was prepping for today, especially with this recent updates for the last month, there was a lot of Dynamics 365. Unfortunately, we don't really cover Dynamics 365, but no, if you do have Dynamics 365 product in your organization, make sure you check the Message Center out for those. However, in here we are, as Michelle was kind of talking about, we do cover Copilot, we do hit Teams. There's a lot of things happening in Teams, but then we have a smattering of some of the other features that are coming for other products. And so we're going to talk about those. And by the way, we are starting with Microsoft PowerPoint. This is something that just is coming out here late October to November, but the ability in PowerPoint to find and add that company approved images from organization images area, which is that SharePoint organization asset library. And once that's set up, and that's the important thing for this to happen, you do need to have that SharePoint asset library set up already and ready to go. Then you're going to be able to grab any of those photos and icons and logos and bring them in and work from there. But make sure you let your users know that this change is happening once it comes out. Of course, we're going to have a bunch of Copilot stuff as always, and there's some things updating here. Starting here pretty quickly in October, some new reports are coming out in the Admin Center. And this is the Microsoft Admin Center, MAC for short. But it'll show intensity metrics and things like total and average prompt counts, right? So actually getting down to those prompts themselves, talking about not only across the organization, but at the user level, daily prompt submissions, prompts submitted in general across any of the apps, right? So that would be web, that would be, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, that could be Teams, that could be wherever that happens to be. Obviously, the paid and non-paid ones are going to be in there, and that's the important thing to keep in mind because you want to be able to have both of them and look at what's going on there, as well as active days that they are being used, right? So we want to be able to see all those pieces. You can see that in the usage area within Mac, specifically under Copilot, and you'll see that report. But again, very important, especially from an administrative perspective and adoption perspective, to see what's happening and if users are utilizing it daily, right? That's important from an adoption side of things. All right, some other updates. So there's changes happening. If you're familiar with the Copilot side of things, there is this feature called memory and personalization that allows you to be able to customize your experience, your individual experience when utilizing, right? So you can actually ask it to remember the fact that I like to have a bulleted list versus a table or vice versa, right? So those types of things. Well, some updates coming to that allows you to be able to say things like, I prefer specific a tool, right? So in the chat history, as you're working through things and you say, hey, I want something, it's going to pick that up and bring that in. Also, this page is going to get a little bit of a redesign, so you can then turn on and turn off some features that maybe you don't want it to save memories and those types of things. So no really big changes outside of the UI and some of the things that's happening there, but I think for the most part, it's some nice changes that are happening overall. All right. Agents available in Excel Lab. So this is one of those that we just recently announced, and it's actually available right now in Frontier. And let me address that for 2 seconds. If you are a Copilot Frontier company, that means you're previewing all those Copilot features ahead of time before they become GA. And not like public preview, where public preview happens probably about a month, 2 months maximum before it becomes generally available. Frontier, well, sometimes it could be a couple months, sometimes it could be even half a year, it could be even longer. So keep in mind, you should know, hopefully your organization is a Frontier company or not when it comes to Copilot. Well, those who are in Frontier right now, You're going to be able to get on additionally on top of the whole Excel and Copilot and Excel set of things, you would have this agent mode capability. And think of it as being able to, creating an actual workbook based off of data completely, right? So the agent will do all that work for you, coming up and deciding formulas, coming up and deciding charts and layouts and those pieces, and then you can tweak them as necessary. But think of it as a multi-step type scenario where you would find from a agent's piece. Good question, Chris. No, this is not really a replacement for Copilot for finance SKU at all. This is just an additional feature that's coming. We don't know exactly where it's going to find because it's in Frontier right now. So we're waiting to find out what's going on there. So this is really for Excel. Now, the one thing to keep in mind, if you are in Frontier, you have to go into the add-ons in Excel and add the Excel Labs piece to be able to get that agent so that you can call it inside the Excel, inside Excel overall. So keep that in mind. That is part of the Office store. And to get that, Michelle.
Mm-hmm.
You raised your hand, Michelle. Do you have something? Nope. Maybe not. All right. Let's move on. And that's available right now for Frontier. All right. Another Copilot piece, MCP-based agents now available on Copilot and the Admin Center. So think of the MCP-based agents. This is your developers that are going to be creating these Copilot-based agents using the MCP protocol to be able to actually create this, right? And so the nice thing about it is that they're using the MCP setup is the fact is they can say, hey, go to my server and grab these pieces as opposed to having to build all the different and hard code all those different references to the tools that are needed. So this is going to help out with that piece. The thing is that before that, you had to hard code and get them in, like to get them out and deploy was difficult. Now it's actually going to go through the agent store, just like any other agents that you're going to have within your organization. So it's just going to make it easier for deployment and getting them out, right? So that's really what this thing is happening here, especially for those organizations that are, actually developing agents overall through Copilot. So keep that one in mind. All right.
Hey, Don.
Jumping. Oh, yeah, go ahead. Finally.
Yeah, Michelle. I couldn't. I was clicking on my mic and it wouldn't unmute me. So it just seemed like I was randomly raising my hand.
Yeah.
But I just had a meeting and it looks like the add-in in Excel is not going to be there for long. So it will become a part of Excel without having to add anything in. Just wanted to
which
make
makes
that
perfect sense.
announcement.
Absolutely. Perfect. Thank you, Michelle. All right, let's jump ship and move into, from Copilot, move into Purview just a touch. So there's going to be some changes from the security side of things and compliance side of things in Purview and data loss protection to be able to actually set up classification property alerts. This is happening here, public preview, end of this month into November, worldwide coming out late November into December. But basically, you can actually set up these new classification properties, and based off of these categories, you can set up as a true positive, you can set up a false positive or a benign positive. And for your policies themselves, then this is really to help you guys to be able to triage any of the policies and any of the alerts that are triggered from these policies, so that you can prioritize, hey, these ones are more important than these. It just makes it a little bit easier for going through and figuring out all these different alerts that may be coming in through your classification and DLP setup. So look for that on the security side and compliance side here, coming here within the next 2 months. Teams. There was a few things that I thought was interesting in Teams that I wanted to call out. Number one, I don't know what it is, but everybody likes, colors and emojis and all those kind of things that you can have within being personalize it. Well, it's interesting because a lot of times we're going to do this to match what other platforms have done. So this is actually one of those where we're in parity with other platforms that are out there that do that. So when you have that combined experience, so when you combined experience in Teams, you have your chat and all of your teams in one look and feel, right? That experience. Well, in there, you can actually create categories. Now, with those categories or sections names, you can add an emoji to that, where before we weren't able to do it. So it's just a visualization, make it easier to be able to find your things and personalize it. Again, matching other platforms that do that as well. Right now, desktop and web only, but mobile will come in about a semester or so, so half a year or so, you'll see those changes. All right, Teams search and settings. And as you know, Teams, boy, the last 4 or 5 years, Teams has just grown as far as capabilities and features overall. But then it's hard to figure out where the heck they are. So this feature actually gives me the ability in Teams, when I go into settings, to be able to search all my settings for something specific, right? So it could be a category name, it could be a section title, it could be control title, it could be a description, doesn't matter. It'll pull back those things. Yeah, I know. I've seen some thumbs up and some clapping. I know it's been a long time coming. So it's important. Now, the nice thing about these posts, they are now adding a lot more information if there's ever a compliance consideration. So a lot of the Copilot posts you're going to notice, this one actually had it too, as far as, hey, what things is it saving or that it's doing when somebody does a search? It actually has on the bottom of the post compliance considerations, which is something that is new within the last 2 or 3 months that I've really seen them do a much better job putting that out there. So keep that in mind. But this is happening. It's, we're talking early November when this is really rolling out at this point. All right. And you're going to see, and if you haven't seen this, you haven't been into a lot of meetings recently, but this is already rolled out. Improved device selection in that join screen. There was a lot of feedback as far as when you're joining into a meeting, being able to actually see what devices are available and what you're jumping in on, and making that quick change. And that's the important thing, is being able to make that change so I have the right device right away. So keep that in mind. This was rolled out to Windows desktop, Mac desktop, and web versions as you are joining in those Teams meetings. Continuing on the meeting side of things, and this is one that I had a lot of customers that have been waiting for this one for a year and a half, if not more. But the whole town hall experience, and this is that, if you guys remember, we were talking about live events is eventually going away, and then it's not going to go away because there was not parity. Well, this is one of those parity pieces. Town hall Teams event, attendee experience if you have a Microsoft Teams room on Android. We have this on Teams rooms on Windows already. This is matching parity for the Windows side of things. Should be happening mid-October. Basically, you can be, an attendee on that particular device and watch the town hall without having to have your own laptop. It's on the big screen in a room and everybody has access to it. But you would be attending as an attendee. Things like joining through the meeting ID, passcode, those things. Live captions are a part of that. You can actually read the stream as it's going through for that particular event. But you have to keep in mind, it cannot use Teams Room Basic license. It has to be the Pro license in order for that device to be able to actually attend that town hall. On the same thing, the Teams Town Hall thing, and this is actually interesting because I was going through my Message Center updates and I saw this, and then I saw another Message Center update that says, hey, right now, with the release of this feature right here, this Manage What Attendees See, we are now in parity with what live events capabilities were. So that tells me that now we reach parity. We may start seeing some Message Center posts later on that says, hey, live event may be going away because we finally reached parity. So keep that in mind. But what is this? Manage what attendees see is that capability so I can preview before, I send them out onto the, and for everybody to be able to see. You notice this looks different. This very much, if you've done anything with the live events, that looks like live events, where on the left-hand side, this is my preview, and then I'm going to go send it to live. That has been something we've been doing in live event for quite a while, and give me the ability to not only preview cameras, but also preview content, right? So staging all that, things like customizing your layouts, backgrounds, theme colors, name tags. That's actually stuff that we couldn't do in live event. So it's a little bit more capability than we've had before. The organizer will have to have that Teams premium license in order for this to work, and you set it up in the meeting options for that event, right? So you'll have this option that says on, and then on with preview options. That on with preview options really gives you that live event style look and feel as you're producing things. So keep that in mind and how it's working with that. Okay, let's move some quick mentions. We do have some specific things that are happening now. We have some control external access for specific users and groups that are coming here in October through December. We do have, and this is one thing I want to make sure, if you're an administrator, I want you to keep this one in mind, because this one's interesting because there is a new license that is going to be coming out, and really it's going to be for your small and medium organizations. If you do not have the Microsoft Entra ID P1, P2 licenses, what's going to happen is these licenses, this free subscription license, is going to be dropped into your organization, into your accounts, and it's going to be automatically added to your users. And it's just to be able to give you some things like, hey, by the way, you got MFA now, if you want to be able to implement some of this. The reason why they're doing this is because of our, the Microsoft Secure Future initiative, and that's our security initiative that we have to be able to help lock things down a little bit better so that you guys are protected. So keep that in mind. This is coming here mid-October. If you're a small or medium organization, as an admin, you see this license sitting there. That's the reason why it's in there. And it's going to give you just a little bit more capabilities to help really, lock and help your customer or your internal users without having to pay all that money for all those additional things you may not be using. All right, some graph API pieces for your Teams administration now is in beta, so keep in mind for that if you're looking at it. We also, some things in Teams Admin Center around permissions and privileges levels for apps and agents. You can do more with that and be able to track that and see exactly what those apps need for permissions and risk ratings and all that. And so that's just in time for all those agents that are going to start coming into Teams as well. On top of that, we do have some more compliance, explicit consent for recording and transcriptions. We want to make sure you're looking at that. And then from a SharePoint agent side of things, some ability to be able to view, block, or unblock agents using Copilot Chat. And then some new licensing experience as far as how you're going to be able to see if a license is applied to a user or groups and if there's any issues, right? So you'll be able to see users, things like users without licenses, if they don't have permissions, or you'll see errors, those types of things. And then last but not least, we have 3 of them have not changed in a long time, especially the InfoPath one. Support for events and emails is coming due in here in December. And then SharePoint Alert Retirement. The new one is this one here. Support for events is changing. So there is the back end piece of that this is the whole idea is, I don't know how many of you guys were, maybe you sign up for a corporate trip and you get your information in an email and it automatically sets that up as a calendar invite or a calendar item. Well, that's using an older legacy system to be able to do that. They're upgrading the backend to use this whole schema.org markup, right? So if you have third-party vendors that do that as part of your travel arrangements, internal travel arrangements, double check, make sure that they know that this change is happening and we're utilizing this industry standard schema.org markup to be able to, make sure that the calendar extraction is actually happening appropriately. The last thing I want to talk about is just some other places that you can go to find more information about not only just the message center, but in general, what's happening. So if you don't know, and I think a lot of people know about this one right here, that is the roadmap, that aka.ms/roadmap. That just takes you to the roadmap timelines telling you when things are going to be coming out and releasing. A lot of times you'll see some things on here and not in Message Center. But keep in mind, that's another place that I go to as I'm researching or as I am learning about the product itself. The other thing too is, I'm not sure how many go to this, but I mean, I was frequently this a lot. I would go find the Teams blog or I'll find a Copilot blog, right? So, but by the way, there is forums and there are blogs and there's all of this content sitting out there for all the different products and services that we offer from a Microsoft side of things at this Microsoft Community Hubs. Those are clickable links. Go ahead and do those quick, and I'll also throw them in the chat a little bit later on, but just an opportunity to be able to keep up on all those things as well. So I think that's all I have, Michelle.